Looks like it's getting going. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. All right, here we are. Looks like the live stream is kicking in. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Rock and roll, rock and roll. Doing mic checks and everything. I think everything looks like it's turning out all right. John Dante here, coming at you live from the Inferno production and broadcast studios. Thanks for tuning in. I got a new thing I've been doing down here where I go through the different gear that we use in the studio, new gear and sound upgrades, talk about stuff, things like that. So for today, I have something exciting, and it is a new amplifier unboxing, something that we got here for the Inferno broadcast studio. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to make sure to put the links for the band, John Dante and the Inferno.com, up for YouTube. We do have a digital tip jar active when we go live because we have live music and merchandise and cool other things available from the studio. If you guys dig what's happening, we have limited edition merch. And we have our music available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, and we're submitted to Pandora and YouTube. We do have music videos and singles out on YouTube also. So if you like what you're hearing, if you like the demos, go ahead and shoot over to Spotify. You can follow the band there. You can follow us on Instagram, give us a like on Facebook, and make sure you smash the subscribe button to YouTube. So that's enough. Let's go ahead and get started with what we got today. So for today's, I think you can see behind me, a small orange box amplifier, a quote-unquote unboxing. I wanted to get this thing set up and have the settings and microphones ready when we tuned in. But I have the box available for what we're talking about today, the Orange Crush 12. Orange amplification. Let's see, can you guys read that all right? I can flip the screen. There you go, now you can read it. Shout out to Lula TV. They let us flip the screen so you guys can read what we're looking at. Orange amplification, Crush 12 guitar amplifier combo. Includes online guitar lessons, which I didn't check out. This thing is pretty cool. It's really cool. We picked this up from Hubbard Music, which is our local music retailer that just opened. So support your local music store. And as you can see, it's about 99 bucks. So this is one of the most affordable amps on the market. It's a great thing to throw into your studio if you're looking to get a lot of different tones and you don't have a lot of room for volume. Like me, I like to play a lot of late night music and we like to do a lot of jams. So volume's not our thing. Show off the box a little bit. Got this cool cover art. This guy's got an awesome tattoo. And show you here the top of the amplifier. See if you guys can see it. Input, gain, overdrive, bass, middle, treble, volume, and headphone output. Really cool one-channel amplifier. Goes from 60s to modern metal. It says the smallest combo in the Crush range. Features an all-analog circuitry, 3-band EQ, dedicated overdrive control for classic British crunch tones. And you got the pictures of the old store from the 60s. Whoa. Rock and roll. Look how cool that was, mate. In the orange car. Yeah. So the sounds of the swinging 60s London, the orange amplifier. Let's see what came in the box. You had a power cable, an orange owner's manual right here for the Crush 12. Input, gain, overdrive, adjust the overdrive, 0 for clean tones. Higher, add your distortion. Experiment with the gain and overdrive controls for a wide range of crunch and heavily distorted tones. Bass, middle, treble. The treble, middle, adjust mid-range frequencies. Increase the middle, produces a fatter sound. With higher overdrive settings, reduce the mids for a more scooped modern tone. Volume and power, headphones to connect with stereo headphones. And there's also a speaker simulation on that, which is awesome. So you can use this as a DI to your recording console or mixer, which is always fun. And the internal speaker becomes disconnected when you're doing that. And that's what it shows you there. It shows you your inputs. You guys see it? A really cool one-channel amplifier. We're going to get into that here in a second. And that's all that else was in here. There's a little warranty card. Gives you your orange warranty, your voltage warnings. But it's pretty cool. It's printed with the, I don't know if you can see it. It's got the orange logo on there. It's like a girl with a British flag, and I think like a goat man, like a satyr or something. And that's all that was in the box. It came with the amplifier. It came with a nice 3-prong cable. I did notice on these it has like a real 3-prong. It accepts normal amplifier cables. It goes in there nice and tight like any other 100-watt amp head. And I wanted to have it set up for you, so unboxed, set up with a studio active condenser mic, the Orange Crush 12. Really badass little amplifier for in-home, in studio. Let's see. You guys see the whole thing? So I'm sure that what you want to really do is hear what it sounds like. So let me give you a couple chords. Super awesome. What do you guys think of that? I have it set up here in the studio. I'm not testing volume on this guy because this is all about the tone and the sound and how well we can get it to sound. So I got the volume just set on 2 or 3, like 1/4 up, and I'm working with the tones. I figured I'd start with something that was classic orange, that was the orange sound that I thought of when I was looking for orange amps. And today I'm playing on my psychedelic custom Flying V. Hope you guys can see this right here. It's a really cool guitar. Now, orange amplifiers came to fame in the swinging 60s in London. That's where people sort of came to know them. They had a really psychedelic look and a sort of psychedelic sound and vibe. So they would always have that hand-painted look, was part of their vibe. So I wanted to bring out my hand-painted Flying V. It's a Gibson. It's got a tremolo system attached to it, a bow and handle tremolo. And it's got a DiMarzio pickup with a coil tap, and I adjusted it for double volume control. So that's sort of my version of like Eric Clapton's painted up SG that he called the Fool, which he used in London in the 60s, or the Gibson Flying V that Jimi Hendrix hand painted with nail polish. So this is sort of my version of that guitar. I figured we'd be able to get those 1960s psychedelic tones, and then the super distortion would help us with the heavy metal sounds, because that's what we're going to look at with this amp and see if it'll do the history of orange amplifiers. It sounds crunchy off the rip. I'm just going to read you the little orange history so you guys know where we're coming from. This is right off the Orange website. It says, since founded in 1968, I have always believed that no other company could have cared more than us about the innovation in guitar, valve, amplifier design, and sound technology. Our latest amplifier designs still reflect this approach, and I'm especially pleased with the recent innovations made by Orange in the field of transformer design. Ta-da! To reach these achievements, we spent years studying, experimenting, and testing in order to improve on the best. However, it's not just about transformers, valves, and circuit design. It's about how the sound is perceived, something that I have always thought of them as the sound of the sound. It's about the physical pleasure that the sound of an amp gives a guitarist as he plays. That is what it really means. The orange sound didn't just happen. It has taken many years to perfect and fine-tune. In the same way that guitarists, no matter how good they may be, can always learn new skills and improve, we will always continue with our search for perfection. So that's Cliff Cooper, the founder and CEO of Orange Amps. A cool little history. 1966 looked like the beginning of Orange's history. The famous shop, the Painted Orange Shop, hit London in 1968 with their psychedelic logo, their psychedelic orange logo we saw on the box. That's when Orange Studios opened up, and throughout 1969, they became one of the sounds of the swinging psychedelic 60s. 1970 saw the popular explosion of orange amps, where most of us got our first exposure, which was Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward of Black Sabbath. Those classic music videos like Paranoid, where they have, the green screen psychedelic stuff behind them, and everyone's playing through those bright orange cabinets. That's the first time I saw them on MTV back in the day, watching music videos late night with my buddies. Saw those orange amplifiers. But they didn't actually exist back when we were in high school. You couldn't find them because the Orange Shop in the swinging 60s in London, the psychedelic vibe that came crashing down around 1970. Well, no, actually, the shop was doing good through the 1970s, but eventually, it looks like 78. 10 years after the swinging 60s, when Orange made the psychedelic sound, the shop closed down. 1978. We had a couple other series of Orange amps throughout the years trying to keep it running, but the company as we know it today came back in 1997. That's when we had the early custom shop, the new Orange amplifiers. The Orange Crush series, which I have now, was introduced in 2000, and I actually used an Orange Crush on my first album. With the band, one of the first albums we used, The Human Connection, featured an Orange Crush amp, real similar to this one. And one of my favorite Orange amps, where I came back into the metal scene after seeing Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath use them in music videos from the 60s. In 2006, Orange released the Thunderverb 200, which is a 200-watt all-tube reverb head with extended range for down-tuned instruments and bass. Ended up seeing those cabinets live in action one time. We got to see Between the Buried and Me play at the Rex Theater in Pittsburgh. It was right after Alaska had become popular and they were prepping for Colors. That album hadn't come out yet. And I went to see Between the Buried and Me with about 50 fans at the Rex Theater in Pittsburgh, and was stage diving and mosh pitting and watching the group. And their whole backline was Orange Thunderverb 200s. And it was absolutely awesome. So that's a short history, my short history of Orange amps, everywhere from classic to modern metal and swinging psychedelic 60s sounds. So that's enough talking about the amplifiers. Let's see if we can't get ourselves some of these sounds out of here using this cool guitar. So I'm going to jam out for you guys a little bit. I'm going to turn off the microphone. I see I got some of my family watching, Sammy down in Hawaii. Check out Snappy Sammy photos. And yeah, we're going to do a little bit of jamming, do a little demo on this, and see what you guys think. So if you have any comments or requests of types of riffs you want to hear on here, hit me up. Let's see. Go this way with it. Now, I did look up on this. They said if you want your classic sounds, you can crank up the overdrive and leave the gain sort of low. Maybe it was the opposite. Leave the overdrive low and crank the gain up. See if this gives that classic, 1960s EL84 British sound. Let's see if we can get that one. That is a really cool sound. I like that. I am playing this through studio headphones. I am running it through a studio mic. So if you have headphones, go ahead and throw them on. This isn't that loud in the room. It is not very loud at all, but it does give you the vibe that you're playing through some cranked speakers in a sweaty psychedelic club in 1960s London, which is really cool. That's the sound and the feel that you're going for, but we don't have to rattle the walls. So definitely like that sound with orange amps. They're definitely hairier. They definitely have a... Let's see. Make sure we got... Which is one of the sounds that I really like from these amps, is that really hairy, early vintage... See if we can get it more into metal overdrive zone. Rock and roll, that's super punchy, that's the sound. Fizzy like orange soda. So that's one of the super cool sounds some of the super cool sounds you can get out of this amp. Those are some real cool sounding and cool feeling high gain sounds from the 60s. And I don't know if anybody out there, if you've got the opportunity to play through a really loud tube amp, 60s or early 70s styles non-master volume tube amp, they're a lot of fun. That's pretty much what they sound like. They rattle everything around them, and they have a really particular sort of feel to them. And these sort of solid state designs are cool because you can get a lot of different sounds. Another one that we heard is sort of maybe a clean vintage sound. Let's see how well this does that. Super cool. I don't know. This amp's got a lot of headroom to it, which I like with amplifiers when you want to get chimey tones. Because there's a lot of different tube amps that came out in the 60s, and they all sounded pretty much one way, depending on what volume you could get them set on and what year they're from. And with this extra microphone, you can really hear how spanky the speaker is. It's a really... Here, I have one more idea for a vintage British sound. Let's see if it'll do this one. Definitely dig it. Definitely sizzly. I'm gonna dial this thing in for some more heavy metal tones. That's sort of your vintage 60s tube amp vibe. Everything from like a hollow, clean, loud, British EL84 to fizzy, psychedelic 60s fuzz and hard rock, and even British chime. I think that the headroom and the clean sounds on this amp, if you're not worried about volume, it's tonally really reminds me of my Vox tube amps or my 5-watt Voxes or Marshalls. Really give similar dynamics to those low voltage tube amps, which is fun because they're not quite as loud, and I don't think it's going to be as temperamental. So let's see what a heavy metal sounds like. Let's just again real quick. This is a Gibson ceramic 490 neck pickup. This is a DiMarzio Super Distortion with a coil tap. And I got tone controls for each pickup, so I'm able to roll the tone controls up or down and adjust the volume a little bit. We're pretty much going wide open, running through all the different settings, all the way from, full on to, different things, because this amp is pretty responsive. So you're going to be able to use different guitars to get different tones, which is what you're going for in a studio amp or, a small practice amp. So let's go heavy metal. I will do that, and I'll do some heavy metal riffs for you guys. Slayer. Let's see if it does Slayer. All right, this amplifier really likes to push some air when you go into metal, so let's see how it does. Definitely some heavy metal sounds coming out of that guy. EQ on this one's super cool and responsive, so I'm getting a lot of sounds out of here. I'm going to try and set something that I like to play, give you guys a little taste of what sound I think is cool out of it. And yeah, this is me demoing out the new Orange Crush 12 live from Inferno Broadcast and Production Studios. Thanks for listening, everybody. Looks like I got some friends tuning in. Make sure you follow us here on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We've got ourselves a digital tip jar when we go live. If you like what you hear, you can send us a donation. We'll send you some merch and some limited edition goodies from the studio. All that fun stuff. Jamming out on my custom Flying V with the DiMarzio Super Distortion into a brand new Orange Crush 12 right out the box with a real simple digital reference, phantom powered, condenser mic. Nothing crazy, just a little bit of sound. So I'm going to play a couple more riffs for you. I find a sound that I like. Make sure you guys tune in later for our live broadcast. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Ooh, yeah. John Dante coming at you live from Inferno Production and Broadcast Studios. Make sure you check out our original music. It was recorded right here in-house. Just listen to that feedback. That goes on all day, don't it? Alright, everybody, I'm having too much fun here. Thanks for listening. If you want the sound of a cranked 1960s vintage British style Yale 84 tube amp, or if you want the sound of a modern high gain scooped amp, this thing, orange amplification used by everyone from Tony Iommi to Brent Hines of Mastodon. Heavy metal, 1960s, psychedelic rock. That's everything that we're into here at the Inferno Production and Broadcast Studios. Heavy metal, psychedelic rock. Sounds so good. All right, guys, I'm having too much fun here. I'm going to hang out and play out with this amp a little bit more. But thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and listen up. We got about an hour and a half left. So this month in content.